Everyone, and welcome to the Community Development webinar. We are recording, and I will, as moderator and host today, get us started and try to keep things moving. Thank you for making the time for the gathering. For those of you who haven't met me, I'm Tracy Sanchez at DCA in the Atlanta metro region. I'm your host, and I want to say on behalf of the commissioner that it's really heartwarming to see, pardon me, so many communities across the state joining us. I saw 175 registered, and there were communities from the mountains to the Piedmont to the coast, you name it. I think everybody's here today. So welcome to you all. The webinar topic bubbled up when we began collecting data to make a matrix of the community development programs across the state. And many of you are aware of some, and hopefully we'll make you aware of others today. But we quickly realized, there are so many and there are different outcomes, and how would we categorize them? How would we give guidance on which program to do based on what stage your community's at? So for example, a few of the programs are headquartered at DCA. Some are facilitated, pardon me, by nonprofits, academia, private sector, public sector. And we noticed that there were a number of ways that you could think of them. So some of them are for the professional, you, people on the call today, charged with implementing community development in your community. Some of them are for the community as a whole, where you build a team, you have a facilitator, you get some technical assistance, and together you get it done. So they vary in that regard. Some are short-term, some are long-term, some are free, some are not. I mean, there were just so many criteria that we thought, okay, we need to try to unpack this and help people. So that's our goal today: expand awareness of all the community development programs in the state. And I'll go ahead and give the caveat, I'm sure I've overlooked a few. So the next iteration of this training, we'll have to make sure to include the others. Feel free to make me aware of those in the chat or however you like. And I think that today's panel could become a full session, like at a GMA conference or something in the future. So that's the origin story. And today is a pilot, and you're all part of it. So our goal is to expand the awareness with a brief overview and connect you to the leaders. They're on the call today so that you can continue the dialogue. As I'm kicking us off here, I'm going to try to keep things moving because we have a lot. We have an hour and a half today, and we'll get through it all. But I would love for some attendee interaction right now. We have almost 100 people online, and I want our panelists to know, where are you in your community development goals? So we're going to use the React toolbar, which is at the top near the chat box, if everyone can find that. And I'm going to give you 3 choices. And I'd like you to vote based on how you feel about your community and the community development goals. So here we go. A heart, you love your town, the community's perfect, you're just spending lunch with us. The applause hands, you have community development professionals on board, but you could use a helping hand. You could use some technical assistance. The surprise face, last choice, your community is struggling and seeking guidance, and where do we go next? So everybody please vote at the same time. Panelists, take note of what you see. I see some hands, some helping hands. Got so many screens here, if you guys can scroll across them to get a sense. I'm going to throw a surprise in there just so we have all the choices covered. Okay, we've got over 105 people on board, so I'm going to move to our slides so that the panel can take us through the options today to help communities figure out which tool is right for them. So let's share the screen. Okay, can everyone see that and give me a verbal since I can't see you all anymore?
Yes.
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 That is good.
Yes.
Okay, terrific. So we are recording, and all of these trainings that we do as regional reps live on YouTube at the link that you see there on the screen. And we're going to cover 12 programs today. Let's advance. The speakers in each of these agencies will introduce themselves and the program and basically the outcomes and the cost and time required, since we know that those are some of the variables that differ across them. I would love as audience members for you to use your chat feature to pose questions as we go along. And I would love for panelists to answer them as soon as they finish their presentation in the chat box as well. When we get to the end, if we have 8 to 10 minutes as I planned, then we will address any remaining Q&A. So we have all these agencies again, backwards and forwards to review it for you. And if you guys are ready, we are going to get started with Brittany. Okay, Brittany, take it away.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Tracy. I'm Brittany Standifer. I'm the program manager for the Archway Partnerships Connected Resilient Communities. And I've just got to start off by thanking Tracy so much for bringing us all together. As someone who's been in state government a good amount of time now, new programs start and pop up, or I've been here for the long term, and it's always great to hear from my colleagues about new programs and programs that are helping out communities. So just thank you for bringing us all together to share community development programs. So I'm going to start off by just sharing a little bit about the Archway Partnership, the unit in which Connected Resilient Community sits within. It is a unit of the University of Georgia Public Service and Outreach Division. And we work to connect communities with higher education resources to locally identified community and economic development issues. So our traditional model, we are located in 8 communities where we have a full-time faculty member that works with community stakeholders to uncover community needs, community opportunities, to learn what the pulse of the community is, and then connect you back to the University of Georgia for support in your needs. So when Tracy asked, do you have the shock face? Do you need a helping hand? I would say that we are an organization that can help those who have kind of got a little bit of collaboration started in the community, but looking for a helping hand with some technical assistance. So in 2021, we were asked by the university to think about how we could serve more communities. Like I said, the Archway Partnership is traditionally located in 8 communities, and we have longstanding relationships within those. And like most organizations, our capacity is limited. And so we work to develop the Connected Resilient Communities. Also, you'll hear it called CRC quite a bit. And this is a time-limited opportunity to work with the Archway Partnership. I like to say it's an exercise in learning how to work together a little bit better, and then learn how to be resourceful for your greatest challenges. Another way to build your toolbox and get some extra support for things that you may be working on in your community. As we developed this program, we really thought about what the core pieces of the Archway Partnership model are. And really, it comes down to data-driven decision-making. So looking at third-party data and helping your community make sense of that complicated spreadsheet or PowerPoint that you've been handed down to you, or that's been handed down to you. We think about community engagement. We do this through a collaborative steering committee. We ask you to look into your community and see who are the leaders that can speak for the masses, but also are willing to reach back and make sure we have a diverse table and are representative of different segments of your community. We also work through community surveys, asking your community just what they think are the greatest challenges and the opportunities in the community. So we pair that data, we pair that community engagement, and hopefully uncover the story of your community. And we work collaboratively back and forth to make sure we're hearing you correctly, because like I said, we're locally identified. We really work to make sure that we are working on issues your community is interested in, not ones that the University of Georgia is looking to pursue. So based on what your community tells us are your needs, we then work to connect you back with subject matter expertise here on campus. So this slide shows some typical buckets that we work in: economic development, leadership development, health and wellness, education and workforce development, and quality of life. Through the Connected Resilient Communities program, your community would work through 3 projects in one or all 5 of these buckets. Sometimes they cross over, as you can imagine. And essentially, it's a tiered designation. So you have the opportunity to stop and celebrate at the completion of each project. That is one of the most fun parts for me in this role. As community developers, I know oftentimes you have a long to-do list and you're just working through it, and there's not a lot of time to stop and celebrate your achievements or let your community know what's been going on in your downtown or your community at large. And so through this program, there will be an opportunity to do that. So to give you a picture of what these projects may look like, they are vast in the type of projects that they can be. We do work with all 18 schools and colleges at the University of Georgia, but essentially it's based in faculty research, community service-based learning, and that community-based faculty member. And to let you know how to think about this, it may look like your community has a vacant lot in your downtown. Maybe you connect to a group of environment and design students to create a design for that pocket park. They'll create an implementation plan, and then maybe your community utilizes your steering committee to then implement that pocket park in your community. I've seen engineering students do site analysis on, let's say you have a busy downtown traffic design. Students can look to reroute your traffic, to implement some slow down measurements in that downtown area. And we all know engineers can be quite expensive to work with. And so these students are great resources to help you think about what a big engineering project in your community could look like, or what it may cost you, just in that brainstorming mode. And it's a great opportunity to create kind of a foundation for your community to take it forward. The students at the top left, they are in Spalding County, or they were in Spalding County working on an old landfill that was ready to be redeveloped. They created a plan for a new park to be placed on top of that landfill, that old landfill that's now ready for redevelopment. And they were able to leverage that plan for a grant from DNR in order to implement that park. And so again, we just look to help you build the foundation, build your toolbox to move forward. So Tracy told us to tell you all the cost, and I'm just making sure I'm checking all the boxes, Tracy, the cost and the time committed here. At the moment, the cost of our program is free. The technical assistance that you receive through the Connected Resilient Communities program is at no cost. The only cost that would be to your team would be travel to Athens for an initial meeting. And so we're really excited right now to be offer this as a free resource. The time commitment is about 12 to 18 months. Since we are within the University of Georgia, we often work on semesters. So we see the kind of pace of projects, there's 2 to 3 semesters with our students and faculty. So how do you become a connected, resilient community? We are actually open right now. We're looking to bring on 4 more communities this fall. And so if you're interested, please feel free to reach out to me about or with your interest. In the fall, we will have a quick webinar to again, share just a little bit about the Connected Resilient Communities program. And we will have a selection process this fall. Thank you, Tracy.
Yes, thank you, Brittany. And for everyone, I do have a contact sheet as the very last slide for all of our presenters and how you reach them to follow up. Okay, so next we will move into the Georgia Economic Placemaking Collaborative.
Hey guys, my name is Sadie Krawczyk, and I am the Managing Director of the Georgia Economic Placemaking Collaborative. This is a program within the Georgia Municipal Association, or GMA, and it's overseen by Georgia Cities Foundation, which is one of the nonprofits within GMA. So first, just what is placemaking? That's a word that we probably, and my favorite definition is this one. It inspires people to collectively reinvent public spaces as the heart of every community. And that's a quote from Project for Public Spaces, which is pps.org. I just want to mention that as a free resource. The tools to do really great placemaking is out there. You can go get those for free, but sometimes it's hard to use all the free resources without someone helping you along. So the Placemaking Collaborative was created by Georgia Cities Foundation to help cities build a local team, learn the principles of placemaking, develop a plan that's specific to your community, and then help you along the process of implementing those. So the curriculum, as you can see here, we start with kind of understanding what it is and beginning those starting steps of planning placemaking projects in your community. It's a 2-year program. So the second year, you're actually implementing some of those projects and trying to figure out how do we do funding sources ongoing. And then as an alumni, we try to continue to give you resources and help you track the impact of your placemaking efforts. The next slide. The process, like I said, is a 2-year program. And so it's modeled similar to the Georgia Initiative for Community Housing, where you attend retreats. So in the first year, we accept new cities in January. The first retreat is in March. And before that, we'll do a virtual orientation. In between March and the fall retreat, which is in September, you'll have homework assignments with your team. You're also paired up with a facilitator from a lot of our amazing partner organizations. Many of them are on this webinar today, and they help you with their subject matter expertise to kind of analyze your community and figure out what does placemaking mean for you guys. So spring retreat, fall retreat, and then December, LQC, that stands for Lighter, Quicker, Cheaper Project. And we want you to identify kind of a low-hanging fruit project, and then we offer you grant funds up to $500 to complete a local project. And again, year 2, you're going to go through the similar program, spring retreat, fall retreat, and then you graduate the program, and you'll have another grant opportunity that's a little larger at that point in time. The cost to participate in the program is $1,000 total, so $500 each, but your grant opportunities are more than that. So you should be able as a community to get more out of it than what it costs you. You also would have obviously travel expenses to get to retreats. So the program objectives for the Placemaking Collaborative is to discover what your community wants by listening to your community and engaging multiple stakeholders to be a part of that team, but also that volunteer group locally that's helping do these projects, because placemaking is for people. It's connecting people to places that they care about. And at the end of the program, we're hoping that you have a plan that's specific to your community, and you know how you've developed some skills to actually implement some of those projects in your community. And so what does placemaking look like? Here are some examples in this next slide from our cities. It's specific to every city, and it changes. And you have to figure that out as you listen and observe your spaces, and then try some stuff and see what you get. So this is a skate park in Fitzgerald, some painted hydrants in Covington. That's a painted crosswalk in Young Harris, Georgia. And that's a little mobile library from Thomasville. And those are some examples from Gainesville there, some temporary applications to a crosswalk. So lots of cool ideas, but it changes from city to city. And lastly, applications are available online in September at the Georgia Cities Foundation website. We accept 3 to 4 cities a year that'll be in your cohort if you get accepted. And like I said, all the applications online, you can apply starting in September. We notify cities by the end of the year, and then you have a 2-year adventure in learning placemaking.
Excellent. Thank you, Sadie. Those slides are beautiful. I love the visual of, what can this be? What do the outcomes look like? Okay, we are moving into downtown development and the Main Street program with Jessica.
All right, thank y'all for having me. My name is Jessica Worthington. I'm the director of the Office of Downtown Development with the Georgia Department of Community Affairs. Next slide, Tracy. Go back one. So just to give you, a brief overview, one of the primary ways that we serve the state through our office is with something called the Georgia Main Street program. So this program was founded in 1980. We were one of the first states in the nation to embrace this approach to downtown revitalization. And we started out with 5 programs and now have grown to over 100 plus designated communities. The National Main Street Center is located in Chicago and is one of our counterparts that we work very closely with. So on the state level, we are the coordinating office. We work directly with our local designated programs to make those recommendations to national regarding those designations. Next. So I could talk all day about why downtown is important, but I won't. I'll keep it a little more succinct. But for us, downtown is important because it's typically where we see the highest concentration of small businesses, those small mom and pop shops. It's where, a community really defines its sense of place. You may get off on the interstate and there's a McDonald's and there's a Chick-fil-A and there's, a gas station. But when you are in Thomasville, there's only one Jonas Fish and Grits. And if you haven't been there, it's amazing. It's my favorite place to stop anytime I'm in that neck of the woods. But again, this is truly what makes our communities unique. And it's typically where we see the largest amount of public investment happening in a community. And Scott Purvis from Georgia Power hopefully will agree with me on this point, but it's also a yardstick of community support and investment. And so even if a company is coming in and locating in different areas, whether it's in the city or the county, traditionally they will also drive through the downtown because they will see where the priorities are in the community and what the quality of life will be like for those folks who will be working at that company. And it's also where we see that cultural and physical history come together and create that sense of place and our heritage. Next slide. So at the Office of Downtown Development, we take a tiered approach to supporting all our communities. And we believe that you guys have the capacity to be the best versions of yourself, regardless of population, socioeconomic climate, staffing challenges, no matter where you are in the region. And I say the best version of yourself because in today's world, it's so easy to look and see what our neighbors are doing and feeling like we have to keep up or do better. But the reality is we all have different things we're working with. And so our goal in our office is to help you, again, be the best version of yourself, knowing that every community has the capacity to improve its central business district. Next slide. So we have 3 levels of service within the Georgia Main Street program. We have the Downtown Affiliate Network, the Classic Main Street program level, and then something we have just in Georgia, which is called Georgia's Exceptional Main Streets. All 3 levels of service do require some staffing component as well as a board and a funding commitment. And there's, different thresholds that get you, up or down designation levels. We're not going to get into the complexities of that today, but these are 3 of the primary designations that our office and the National Main Street Program recognize. Next slide. But what I want you to take from today is that the Main Street approach is that it is an approach to revitalization. And so it is an opportunity to provide you a framework that guides you through this revitalization process with a time-tested model that has been proven to be successful. And so here you see that we have, again, those 3 different layers. We've got that local revitalization happening with the state level support, and then again with that national accountability. Next slide. So in the Main Street approach, we use something called the 4 points. Which stands for design, organization, promotions, and economic development. If you have a challenge remembering that, you can just always think of Main Street as dope. We love it. But, it's much broader than just, design being about fixing up buildings or promotions being about doing festivals and events. When I talk about design, I'm talking about the look and feel of a downtown. Do I feel as safe there at 10 o'clock at night as I do at 10 o'clock in the morning? How do I interact with the space? Is it pedestrian friendly? Is it accessible? When I talk about organization, it's not about being an organized person, right? It's about building that foundation for success. So making sure that you have organizational success by having the right partners in place, the right support system in place, a healthy budget that can support the goals and initiatives and projects that you're undertaking. With promotions, yes, events and festivals are fun and a great way of bringing people downtown, but it is about more than that. It's also about how do we tell our story? How do we advocate for ourselves? How do we make sure that we're engaging and not just having a one-way conversation, but a two-way dialogue? And then economic development, it's about more than just, opening new businesses and creating new jobs. Of course, that's a part of it, but it's also about making sure that we're partnering the right business model with the right location as well. So that way they will thrive, and we're not just building a downtown for the next 5 years, but we're building a downtown for the next 50 years. Next slide. So where do you start? Again, 10 minutes is not a lot of time to cover all these things, but it's a good stepping stone. So the first place I would direct you to is our Georgia Main Street website. We have a ton of resources on there, from our resource library to our monthly training calendar. Everything we do is open to any community. There may be different price points to attend workshops, but again, it's open to everyone. So I would encourage you to check out our Georgia Main Street website if you haven't done so already. We have a YouTube channel. We've had it since about 2014, so around 10 years now. We have an extensive library on that channel, and you can go back, you can check it out. It's all free, it's all available. We focus on things that we're doing, things that partners have done. We've got webinars, and then also something that you'll see on there, we do a monthly virtual meetup. It's called Third Thursdays, Coffee and Conversations. This started during the pandemic, and we've continued since then. And again, this is open to anybody. It's an opportunity for us as a network to come together from all around the state, and to be able to interact, share ideas, trouble source and troubleshoot in real time with other folks, and be able to get ideas. And we love to say that in our world, it's not R&D, it's rip off and duplicate. So we're all about how do we learn what other folks are doing. Don't reinvent the wheel. Borrow the wheel from your neighbor and see how you can make it work for your community.
Thank you, Jessica. And I want to, thinking about like doing this as a person and leading a community, I don't think we have a representative on the call today, but I know that you're familiar with the Certified Downtown Professional Program. And if you could say a few words about that, because that's one person doing some training to try to be the visionary that could lead the effort, right?
Yes, absolutely. So one of our partner organizations, the Georgia Downtown Association, they are an independent nonprofit, but they are staffed with folks from the Georgia Municipal Association. It has a board that's comprised of downtown professionals from all over the state. And they worked with Carl Vinson and Georgia Power and ourselves to create something called Certified Downtown Professional certification program. And it consists of 14 different classes that are offered throughout the year. I would encourage you to check out, just Google Georgia Downtown Association, and those training opportunities will come up. And it ranges from beginner to intermediate and advanced level classes in all those areas that I've just discussed: the promotions, economic development, organization, and design. And while you can, complete the whole entire certification from start to finish, it's not something you necessarily have to do. If your budget doesn't allow it, I would encourage you to find things that you're passionate about, things that you need to know more about. Dip your toe in the water, go take one of these classes, again, taught by people who have background and expertise in these areas. And again, it's a great opportunity to just network and meet other professionals in the industry.
Very good. And I know we're going to hear later from Kelly and Daniel, who both will also talk about programs that you attendees today might do for yourselves to enhance skills as you lead some of these efforts. Let's see, we're doing great on time. So next we're going to move into the programs at Georgia Power, hosted by Vanessa and Scott. Let me get to the slide. Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes, we are ready. Take it away.
I'm going to go first and discuss our CREATE program, and Vanessa will come in right behind me and discuss Grow Georgia. But I'm Scott Purvis, Regional Economic Development Manager with Georgia Power, and I cover 27 counties in the southwest corner of the state. And by definition, a lot of those communities are very rural, and CREATE, which stands for Cultivating Rural Entrepreneurs and Transforming Economies, came out of the premise that many of our rural communities are just not in the best position for industrial recruitment. And there's lots of reasons. It could be your leadership. Your leadership doesn't understand economic development. They don't know how to they don't understand how to fully fund it. And even if they do understand economic development, some of our small rural communities have a small tax base. They have a lack of resources. They've got a lack of product. In other words, they don't have industrial parks. They don't have available buildings. It's a lack of workforce in quality and quantity, lack of infrastructure, the basics, water, sewer, broadband. And then finally, there could be a lack of cultural and placemaking amenities to attract talent to your community. So as our team was looking at, so if some of our rural communities are not suited or not best equipped for industrial recruitment, what can they do? And that's where we came up with the CREATE program. How can we help those communities in rural areas grow their own economy? And you can see here some of the program benefits going through it, strategic planning and implementation support. This is working with you to develop a plan to enhance your entrepreneurial ecosystem, inventory assets and gaps in your community for entrepreneurial and small business support system. Many of your communities don't know it, but they already have assets to help entrepreneurs. Through this program, we can help identify those and identify those gaps and how you can offset those. Identify partners and resources and funding to support entrepreneurship and small business. At Georgia Power, we're not necessarily the experts on entrepreneurs. We like to view ourselves as more the conveners, bringing all the resources together. And then finally, of course, learning about best practices for igniting entrepreneurships and small businesses. We've had 6 communities participate and graduate from the CREATE program. So there's a lot of knowledge there and best practices that they could do. Our research showed that there's a lot of information and organizations out there to help the entrepreneur. What's not out there is a lot of information or support system to help the community help the entrepreneur. So that's where CREATE fits in that niche. Our audience is the community, not the specific entrepreneur. Tracy, if you could go to the next slide, please.
Mhm.
So this is giving you what our next phase of CREATE is. CREATE used to be a 2-year program. We have really honed that down. This year, we're going to select 5 to 6 communities. It will be a 2-day, instead of a 2-year process, a 2-day intensive training. The dates of August 14th and 15th. We'll do 2 days of training there in August, and then in the fall, we will come out as a team and assess your community and do an audit of your entrepreneur ecosystem and find out a little more about where you want to go with your entrepreneurship. We're looking for communities that are already working in the entrepreneurial ecosystem area. We don't really take a community from scratch right now. We want rural communities. We're defining rural as those communities that are 50,000 and less. And the one other caveat in this, for this round, we're only taking Georgia Power franchise communities. Hopefully at a later date, we can do something statewide where we can take in all the communities. But in addition to the 2-day, we will begin actually a nomination process where we'll work through my counterparts on the regional team and our area managers. So if you know of a community or if your community interested, please contact your Georgia Power area manager or local manager. We will accept nominations. Then we'll go through an application process. And like I said, we'll designate 5 to 6 communities, because hopefully at the end of the day, in addition to the program benefits, we want to be able to get that community's leadership to understand that entrepreneurship is a part of your overall economic development strategy for your community. Understand that entrepreneurship gives your community a competitive edge that it may not have with industrial recruitment. While it's an integral part of downtown development, entrepreneurship is more than that. It is about that person who starts a business in their garage and they expand by 5 employees. Then a few years later, they're in your industrial park with 25 employees. And finally, is to help get your leadership to understand that small does not define the value that these entrepreneurs and small businesses bring to your community. End up with, you can learn more at www.selectgeorgia.com. The Create website is embedded in that link. So please go there and look for more information, and we will have the applications out soon. Oh, and it's free. So that's always good.
That's always good. I'm learning so much already. Thank you, Scott. Vanessa.
Hi, I work with Scott, Vanessa Wagner, Marketing Program Manager at Georgia Power Economic Development, and I'm excited to share a resource designed for entrepreneurs, but available for everyone to share or borrow from. Or I loved that rip off, Jessica, what you said, I love that rip off or borrow your neighbor's wheel. So as many of you may know, minority-owned businesses in Georgia really are a robust part of our economy. They provide over 400,000 jobs to hardworking Georgians across the state. In spite of their growth in the recent years, they still face a lot of challenges, including access to capital, mentorship, business networks. These barriers only increase the further you get outside of Metro or some of our MSA hubs. And then we really saw this during the pandemic, where these challenges were just intensified. So the team at Georgia Power asked that question, how can we help small businesses with our available resources? And as Scott shared, we know that many of our communities are doing some wonderful things. So we didn't want to recreate programming that already existed, but we used that research we had to amplify the messages and the reach of those great programs, the people, programs, and places that are helping these diverse founders excel. So in 2022, we launched growgeorgia.com, and this helps promote resources related to funding, supplier diversity programs, certifications and business education, and news and events with an emphasis on minority-owned businesses. So in addition to the website, we do have a quarterly email that goes out to our small business subscribers as well as community leaders. We received, last year we received about 500 inquiries from the website to help entrepreneurs. So that was our opportunity to again promote regional programs and people that were helping them. And while the majority of resources on the website are focused on ethnic and racial minority businesses, they can still be beneficial to our women-owned businesses, veteran-owned, or even those non-designated small business or founders. Next slide, please. And this program, while it is facing entrepreneurs, it's really for everybody. You know, next week is Georgia Small Business Week, so a great way to help the small businesses in your community are sharing the resources that are available to help them and grow. So I invite you all to share, borrow, steal anything that's on there. It's really for your benefit. Other ways you can get involved is we would love if you have an event that is focused on small and diverse businesses. We can certainly promote that on this website. You know, I just met with Cherokee County this morning and we added their new Black Business Roundtable initiative. So we're continuously growing the programs and resources. Additionally, wanting to promote those success stories. So connecting, that's probably the best part of Grow Georgia, and what I have loved the most is connecting with these entrepreneurs that are doing great things in their local regions and sharing what resources they used, what challenges they overcame, not only to help give them some promotional support, but also to inspire other entrepreneurs. The idea that if you see it, you can be it. So I encourage you to go on growgeorgia.com. You can send me an email directly from the website. I'm the only one managing the program right now, so it goes directly to me, Vanessa Wagner. And if you want to nominate businesses to be featured for success stories, nominate a program. I'm always looking to grow, growgeorgia.com. Thank you.
So Vanessa, I have, thinking about these success stories, I have seen on LinkedIn where you are apparently a storyteller extraordinaire. And I would love to know if you already got one success story you could share with us that comes to mind.
Yeah, we actually are just promoting today a new story that came on there. It's Cobotics by Bishop Cleaning Services out of Albany, Georgia, and led by Jenny. She calls it co-working with robots. So during the pandemic, they were really facing some workforce challenges to continue their janitorial services at Bishop Cleaning Care. So they've started implementing robots into their business, and it's not necessarily replacing the workforce, but it's enhancing the existing workforce. Because now those employees that were just part-time janitorial services, they're getting the skills and knowledge on how to use these robots, use that technology in addition to their own work. And so it's really upskilling her whole organization, and that, and she's doing great things and keeps building that.
Terrific. Thank you for sharing that with us. It always helps to make these programs come to life when we know, how they really impact a community. Okay, we are doing great on time, and I want to remind you, if you have any questions about these programs, go ahead and put them in the chat. Kelly's monitoring that, and the speakers and panelists will be able to answer them as they finish and move on to the next topic. And so we can just kind of address that as we go. So now we're moving into a presentation from Daniel on Community Planning Institute and Plan First. I'll let you take it away, Daniel.
Thank you, Tracy. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Daniel Gaddis. I'm the Planning Outreach Coordinator here in DCA's Office of Planning Research and Geoanalytics. So today is my 6-month anniversary. I'm excited to be here. I have a background in public education as well as local government planning and economic development. So I'm very excited to put all of these this experience to bear and being the exterior for these planning programs. So today specifically, I'm going to be talking about 2 of my programs. One is called Community Planning Institute. CPI for short. CPI is an engaging 2-day, it's actually going to go down to a day and a half, a workshop that DCA has been providing for the better part of 20 years. This event is aimed at providing content for elected officials, appointed officials like planning commissioners and ZBA board members, as well as a whole host of city and county staff. Topics include Planning 101, how to use your comprehensive plan, best practices around CDBG, affordable housing for your community, public health, how to create vibrant downtowns, regional planning and using your regional commission, historic preservation, zoning basics, and case studies, and the list goes on. This year in March, we held our spring CPI event, and when we made the announcement on our website, registration filled up within 6 days. So we do also anticipate tons of interest for the fall, and you can see there that we're looking at having our CPI in the fall in Dublin, Georgia. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys this is an exclusive. We haven't announced this on our website yet, but we are looking at that October 3rd, 4th, depending on venue availability. So I would like to say for the planners, we also we provide CM credits for those continuing maintenance for your AICP for this event. And we also provide a certificate to all attendees that could satisfy a portion of your newly elected officials training requirements. I will say finally on CPI that we are reimagining it to be more complementary to what is being offered from GMA, ACCG, Carl Vinson, and also the wonderful training provided by our regional commission. So we are in active conversations with these organizations to make this event something that's very targeted and very specific to what you guys can build on for your local governments, so that there's not a lot of repetition as much as it is scaffolding that learning. Next slide. So our other program is a wonderful program called the Plan First designation. Put simply, a Plan First community is one that is recognized by DCA as implementing their comprehensive plan above and beyond in an exemplary way. It rewards and recognizes these communities in our state for their excellent work specific to the comprehensive plan. Through a community's goals, leadership, public participation, and the implementation, communities that are designated Plan First are going above and beyond what is the minimum requirements. To help our local governments know as they are considering an application for this coveted designation, to help them know what the reviewers are looking for, This year in March, we recorded and posted on our website 2 separate webinars. One for new applicants. So if you've never been a Plan First designated city, or if you maybe have lost your designation and you didn't apply for renewal, then we have a great webinar for you to view on our website. Additionally, the application for renewing communities, those communities that have already been a Plan First designated community and are just renewing their designation, we have a webinar that's specific to those as well. And you guys can find those on our Plan First website. There's a ton of reason why a local community who is doing great comprehensive planning, why they would want to participate in this designation. Number one is recognition at the state level. It's you get to use the Plan First logo on your email signatures as well as on all your websites. And we find that our Plan First communities love to share their story through that. We make announcements on our website as well as DCA social media. You also get a nice invitation to the Capitol for Planning Day at the Capitol, where you're recognized by Commissioner Nunn at the state Capitol every year in March, and hopefully with a photo opportunity with Governor Kemp. Additionally, your congressional delegation typically does a resolution at the state Senate and the state House honoring your community's commitment to comprehensive planning, and it helps us tell our story, tell your story. One of the biggest reasons and best benefits why a community might want to participate is that piece of community development block grants access. Typically, a local government can only access CDBGs every other year. If you're a Plan First community, you get access to apply every single year for your 3-year designation. It's probably one of the biggest benefits in the Plan First package. You also get access to the Georgia Environmental Finance Authority state loan at a reduced interest rate of 0.5%, which really makes a huge difference when you're talking about a $3 million water and sewer loan. 0.5% over 20 years is pretty significant. This new one that you can see with that big bright red new star indicates the newest incentive, and I think it might potentially be the best incentive in the entire package. It's a 3-point bonus point on your LIHTC application. This would obviously be if a proposed development is going to be within the municipal or county boundaries or municipal boundaries of a Plan First community. And I know you guys are attuned to the housing crisis that's going on, but increasingly we're seeing these housing tax credits become ever more competitive. So 3 bonus points can be a make or break. Next slide. As I mentioned, this is the premier recognition designation for comprehensive planning in the state of Georgia. And because of that, there is a high bar to entry. DCA regulates something called the qualified local government status, and that is in line with having your comprehensive plan adopted, reviewed by the RC and back to us with a signed adoption. You have to have that by your deadline. So we do ask that you cannot have lost your QLG status, your qualified local government status. You can't have lost it for more than 4 weeks total and more than twice within a 10-year period. So it is a very high bar to entry. Also, we do ask that the service delivery strategy for you and your county must be verified by us. And you also have to be up to date with all of your annual surveys, like the Government Management Indicator Survey and the Report of Local Government Finance. Additionally, we ask that the applicant community adheres to your regional commission's minimum performance standards. And if you have any questions about these, or you just are confused by what I'm saying, please feel free to hit me up with that planning@dca.ga.gov email address. We're very excited because we're 14 days away from our due date for this next round of Plan First applicants. So we are excited to see the applications come rolling in. Next slide. Here we have one of our Plan First superstars, the city of Douglas, Georgia. City of Douglas is a small rural town in South Georgia of roughly 12,000 people. And it's the county seat of Coffee County. And it's actually one of only 11 3-time Plan First designees in the state. For reference, there are no 4-time Plan First designees. So Douglas is an elite company. You can see that Douglas was relentless They took advantage of 3 successive years of applying for CDBG funds. As a reminder, if you're a Plan First community, you can apply for CDBG funding every year instead of every other year. They did take a short breather in 2021, but then in 2022, they expanded their Head Start facility and they invested in the youth of their community. That same year, the city of Douglas enjoyed a 0.5% interest rate reduction on a $3 million GFA loan, which amounts to roughly $170,000 in savings. Douglas has been extremely active, even outside of these Plan First incentives, and they are demonstrating that how a local government can really push activities that align with their community's vision and goals. Next slide. Here's a before and after pictures of a residential area in Douglas using CDBG funds for sewer and street improvements. Next slide. Douglas recognized that, like many communities in our state, substance abuse and mental health issues were challenges that needed to be addressed. And for their 2020 CDBG funds, Douglas was awarded $750,000 to build a mental health substance abuse facility to address these issues, estimated to benefit 951 people. The city, local employers, and most importantly, the residents of Douglas all stand to gain from this facility and the services it offers. If you have any questions about CPI, Community Planning Institute, or Plan First program, please feel free to reach out to me at planning@dca.ga.gov. And you can also access our websites for our Community Planning Institute as well as our Plan First. And that's all I have, Tracy.
Thank you, Daniel. And I really appreciate hearing both, training for individuals and just appreciation and celebration when a community does use some of the resources, because, we all like to be acknowledged for the good work, right? Because then you're inspired to do more. And those of you listening are probably inspired to do some as well. So thank you, Daniel. And we're moving now into presentation from Kelly on the Georgia, Academy for Economic Development. There we go.
Tracy, while you get that going, Daniel, there was one question in the chat. I just recently found out about Plan First, but it was after the deadline of April 15th. Do we have to wait until next year now?
Yeah. What community are we talking about with Passion Wilson?
Yes. I'm not sure what community that is. City of Covington. City of Covington.
I will check our records. It's possible that maybe someone within your office inquired, but we do ask that the inquiry gets made into your QLG status and your performance history. So I will check on Covington. But yes, if there is no one from your office has checked with us by April 15th, then you will have to wait for the 2025 application period. I'm sorry to say.
Thank you for that. And y'all continue with the Q&A and we'll get it as we go along. Kelly.
All right. Thank you, Tracy. Good afternoon. I'm Kelly Lane, and I serve as the regional rep for Region 11, which is in South Central Georgia. But I also serve as the executive director of the Georgia Academy for Economic Development. And just to kind of get your brains going, because we've been listening to lots of talking, you can see this diagram on the screen. And I just want you to, I'm going to ask Scott to help me with something in the chat. So just take a moment and think about the last time you drove through an unknown community that you were unfamiliar with. Did you think, this community's vibrant? Or did you think this community might have been vibrant back in the day, but it's not now? So in the chat, just type a few words to indicate something that made you think the community was dying or it was thriving. And Scott's going to read a few of those.
Kelly, can I tell you mine since I can't get to the chat box?
Yeah, go ahead.
I drove through and I saw railroad tracks going by industry buildings, but the tracks had grass growing up through it and wasn't in use anymore.
Gotcha. Scott, you want to read a few?
Yeah, we got a lot of abandoned storefronts, vacant storefronts, no pedestrians, boarded up shops, dying empty parking lots, housing development, vibrant downtown, vacant lots downtown, thriving, a craft brewery, no people walking on sidewalks, downtown business used for storage, dying, only food options were corporate, vibrant, pedestrian, cyclist, plenty of commercial activity downtown, community appeared back in the 70s, affordable housing, dying, vacant commercial spaces, vibrant local participation, abandoned businesses, dilapidated housing.
All
So
right.
unfortunately, most of them were negative.
That's right. So everything you named is either a lack of or the presence of investment in each of these three areas that you see on the screen: leadership development, economic development, and community development. And time again, research supports that the communities that invest equally in these areas experience a vibrant economy and manageable growth. So these three areas are the things that we talk about in our Georgia Academy for Economic Development sessions. Tracy, next slide. So just a little history about the Academy. It was created in 1993 to train city and county elected officials. And since that time, we have trained well over 10,000 Georgians. In 2019, we undertook a revamp of the program structure and the curriculum. When we started our revamp in December of 2019, we didn't know what was going to happen in about 3 months, but COVID gave us a year off of holding sessions. Scott's smiling real big. And that allowed us a whole year to really dive into our curriculum and rewrite it and come up with a program structure that we have now. We also provide one-day trainings for the Georgia Municipal Association at their training events each year. Tracy, next slide. So our academy is supported by lots of partners that you can see on the screen. Each of these partners has a seat on our board of directors, and they play a major part in getting the program out each year. Georgia Power and Georgia EMC provide our facilitators for each session. So that's a strong piece of the partnership. Tracy, next slide.
Yeah, and I want to interject, Kelly, if I can.
Yeah, you can.
Mine and Kelly's colleagues are on this call as well, meaning the regional reps across the state. And we put these opportunities in front of you all the time, but make no mistake, I'm just hosting the day. These partners are providing the content, facilitating the knowledge, and taking you to the next level. So we could not do it without them.
Right. Thanks for that, Tracy. So again, as I said, each session is facilitated by staff from Georgia EMC and Georgia Power. DCA regional staff provides logistics support for each session, and the cost for each session is $195. We hold sessions around the state, and anyone can attend at any location as their schedule allows. Our cornerstone course, kind of the first course that we urge people to attend, is the Essentials, where we really dive into community development, leadership development, and economic development. And that's a one-day session. And then we also offer advanced topic courses in housing, traditional economic development incentives, collaboration, and also workforce planning. So to become a graduate of the Academy, you have to complete the Essentials and then 3 advanced topic courses of your choice. Tracy, next slide. Here are our upcoming sessions for fall. We'll have Housing 101 in Decatur, Economic Development in Social Circle, and then we'll have 2 essential sessions, one in Vidalia and one in Atlanta. Our spring 2025 sessions will be posted to our website in July, and registration information can be found on our website at georgiaacademy.org.
Excellent.
Thank you, Tracy.
Yes, thank you, Kelly. Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, we've got programs here that are for individuals, for elected officials, for community development professionals, for the community to build a team. So I want to keep that momentum rolling and switch now to Caitlin and Clark. I'll let y'all tell me which order you're going to go in.
I think that I am going to kick this off, but I invite Caitlin to jump in whenever, because I'm liable to forget something or misspeak. But I appreciate you having me here today. Thank you, Tracy, for organizing this. Here representing the Georgia Downtown Renaissance Partnership. Many of y'all know Danny Bivens, who runs our studio. He couldn't be here today, unfortunately, so I'm sitting in. But I'm more on the design side. I kind of joined this team in 2014, actually as a student, and then 2015 full time. But the partnership was organized in 2013, basically around the understanding that downtowns are the economic engines that drive local economies, and we want to do what we can to support downtowns across the state. Partners including Georgia Municipal Association, Georgia Cities Foundation, and since 2015, the Lyndhurst Foundation has supported this work all across the state. I've been fortunate enough to work in 74 communities through 3 different programs that we offer. Next slide, please. The kind of main signature component of the work that we produce are RSVP master plans. This is from a recent master plan we completed in Carrollton, and this is one image from a 165 plus page community master plan. All of the RSVPs we produce, they have a really significant public input component. So nothing ends up in those plans that we didn't hear from the community. And I think we're really good as a kind of small team at hearing what a community wants and reflecting that through these designs and images that we include in reports. This, for example, kind of a key corridor leading to their downtown area. We probably produced 10 different variations of this scheme that's included in that final document. We can go to the next one too. Another program component that we offer is the Georgia Downtown Renaissance Fellowship. This is actually how I started at the Carl Vinson Institute of Government. It pairs a student at the College of Environment and Design, so an emerging designer, with a city across the state to address city identified issues over the course of a 12-week summer fellowship. So this was produced last year. Very talented young designer, Garrison Taylor, created this for a building in Baxley. The city heard about a potential business coming in, wanted to assist them with a facade rendering. So this building is being renovated, and some of these elements are going to be incorporated into that. But that's kind of a more technical, it's a more kind of targeted, shorter term planning document versus the RSVP, which is a 9 to 12 month, very intensive master planning process. We also offer targeted design assistance, and typically this is in communities where we worked in the past. Maybe they're an RSVP or a fellowship community, and a few years down the road there's a facade rendering they would like, or a small park plan. These kind of one-off type projects, and we're happy to assist cities with those. But for all of these programs, there is a fee associated with that. We're a contract-based organization, so that's how we operate and how we're funded. And then we can do the contact. So, again, if anyone's interested in kind of a larger scale master planning process or the kind of more targeted fellowship program, Danny is the man to reach out to. So we included that information there. I'm happy to include in the chat too some links to, we have all of our previous reports on issue. It's a great way to see these design documents. And then we also have a story map, ArcGIS story map, that is a catalog really of all of those kind of targeted design assistance type projects. So a lot of these are facade rendering, some of them are kind of park plans and other things of that nature.
Well, who doesn't love a catalog, right? Yeah, if you want to share those links, that would be great, Clark.
Thank you. And the images are really, they tell the story. So hope y'all enjoy perusing those. Caitlin, I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Clark. My name's Caitlin Message. I have also been at the Carl Vinson Institute for a long time. Me and Clark have been working together since he arrived in 2014. I got there in late 2012. So I've been there since the RSVP program started. And out of that program kind of grew this community branding program. We saw a need throughout the state for downtowns and cities and counties and regions to really be able to promote what they have and promote their downtowns to drive economic development. And I found it to be my favorite thing to do. So very lucky to get to do that every day. But this program started in 2018. And since then, we have helped 27 communities in some way or another brand what they have to offer. And this process, it's very similar to RSVP because Danny was my mentor and I learned a lot working as a student and then staff and now faculty through doing community planning. And so we have a 3-step process that is huge on the public engagement side. It's a little different than you might find in private sector. We really feel like for brands to be successful, they need to be informed by the people that are going to be using them. So huge on public input and then very heavy on design and making them look really nice and polished. A lot of times we get requests for branding because they don't have a consistent look or message. And nowadays, when there's so much competition and you really need to stand out, branding can help you achieve that and help you promote economic development in your city. Okay, next slide. Thank you. So I'm just showing you some slides of things like mock-ups and things that we designed for communities. Holly Springs was our latest project that's been finished. We're now in Hartwell, Georgia, which is an Archway community. We actually started in an Archway community in 2018 in Pulaski County. Everything is custom designed to fit the needs of that client and who they are. We work with a steering committee for about 9 months to a year to really go through and curate the design to make it perfect for them. So I'll put in the chat real quick the link to this report in case anybody wants to check it out. But that's for Holly Springs. So the first step is public input. The second step is design. And the last step is the most important, which is brand rollout and implementation, because you can do all that work. And then if you don't have a plan to roll it out, it'll just sit on a shelf like all the other plans we do, right? Takes about a year. And after that, we stay on and we do a lot of technical assistance with the client to help them create templates and Canva brand kits and things to really help the client use the brand, because we could give you all these files and then what do you do with them if you don't have a graphic designer on staff? So we want to enable and empower you to be able to use it and use it right. So we create what's called a brand lookbook. It's similar to the RSVP report. It's kind of a magazine style, very image heavy report. So that is, I think that's it. I think I covered it all. But if you have any questions about it, please reach out to me. Here's just some of the logos, although it's much more than a logo, but just to represent some of the places where we've worked. All very different, awesome places. I've loved every single one. It's a pleasure to work with all of them.
I can really see the assets that these communities have apparent in this brand. You know, I mean, you guys have done a great job of, I mean, maybe it was easy with Vidalia onion, you're definitely going to have an onion, right? But how creative with Gullah Geechee to get a sweetgrass basket and work that in, and, you know, some of the other ones. So
well,
really
Vidalia was surprisingly difficult because there was a million onions, and how did they want their onion to be? So we spent a lot of time even on the roots of the onion, which you can barely see in that picture, but yeah, it's very personal to people, you know, when you brand a place because it's their hometown and they want to make sure they get it right, as they should. And I see there's a question, is there a cost? Yes, we are fee-based, and that ranges a lot depending on the scope. So anywhere from 50,000 to 75 right now because of the cost of printing and everything that we do. We do work with you though, and we can break that up into several fiscal years. So you know, just talk to us, have a conversation if you're interested. We are booked out now for about year and a half, 2 years. So we've got a wait list, and because we're a small studio, small but mighty, right, Clark? We do need a few more bodies, so yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so next we're moving on to initiative at Georgia Tech. And let's see, do we have Betsy online?
Yes.
Okay, great. So take it away, Betsy.
All right. So I am Betsy McGriff, and I am part of the Center for Economic Development Research at Georgia Tech. So I'm just going to run really quickly through our list of service offerings here. We're part of the Enterprise Innovation Institute here at Tech. So there's other units who do things that you might be interested in as well. But I'm going to start with our fiscal and economic impact analysis. Many of you know, and he is part of the Georgia Academy, but the leader of our group is Dr. Alfie Meek, and he helps. We have a couple of other economists on team as well, and so we run fiscal impact analysis, which is how to project the effect of a project on your community's revenue and service needs. So kind of looking at the county books or the city books. But then the economic impact analysis is sort of what kind of benefits an economic development or business location would mean to your community, and somewhat the region and the state. So that's the jobs, the payroll, those other economic impacts. And so putting those together can really give you a good holistic picture, sort of a cost benefit of your economic development strategy. We also run tourism validation and impact analysis. So that's to allow for a proposed attraction if it will meet the legislative requirements to qualify for those tourism tax credits. We can do that validation. If any of you, and many of you do know me, those are not the things that I do, but we have a team of very talented economists that run those reports. We also do some strategic planning. That's in very broad ways. So 3 sort of subsections of that are our partnership development. So we have sort of incubated and continue to host and grow the Northwest Georgia iWorks program, which is the HDCI initiative up in Northwest Georgia. We help with strategy, partnership, regionalism, organization, sort of building that structure and framework for partnership. We also host the Georgia AIM. We're part of the Georgia AIM coalition. So that was a Build Back Better regional challenge. And I'll touch on that a little bit later. Target industry analysis. So we can look at, what your community is prepared in terms of workforce sites, et cetera, to attract. Community profile assessment. So that's just the base data for your community, but really digging into some proprietary sources, understanding the census data. There's a lot out there, pulling the right data and getting that in a digestible format that your community can use. And we do some workforce and housing needs assessments. Again, labor market profile. So to understand who's in your community and how you grow your labor market, related to your industry. Also industry occupation analysis and forecasting. So where are you and where are you going? And then a labor force gap analysis. So if you're concerned, you have a shifting sort of target, or you have a gap just in your labor force, labor market is tight right now, that can be an important element to examine. Working on revamping this one, because we're getting a lot of questions that way, but the cost of community services. So that is where our economists use the local government budget records. So those reports that everybody submits to DCA do actually get utilized somewhere. And that analyzes the community's revenues and expenses by land use. So it can really give you a good look at your digest in understanding, expenditures to revenues and for different types of land use, between residential, commercial, and industrial. And it just gives you a good idea of where you are and sort of how you might plan, long term. We also do some economic resilience. So lean recovery training for economic resilience, continuity of operations planning for local governments. We do some of that. We have partners in another group that do some of that through some FEMA planning grants. I know the FEMA programs come at no cost. And then finally, I want to touch really quickly on Georgia AIM. So that was the Build Back Better Regional Challenge. Many of you on the call have participated in the community listening sessions around that. It's a statewide coalition, so we have all sorts of partners. TAG, the Russell Center for Entrepreneurship, TCSG, some other higher institutes of education, College of Engineering at UGA, Fort Valley State. I can't even name them all. But we've done regional strategic plans for all regions other than ARC, coastal, and middle Georgia. Those regions were a little bit better resourced. But all regions in the state will get a pilot program and will be part of communities of practice and learning exchanges around infusing AI manufacturing into Georgia, and really with a particular eye to rural Georgia and sort of the equitable distribution of AI. And finally, last but not least, we run the Basic Economic Development course. That's the cornerstone of training for your IEDC Certified Economic Developer designation. We have some partners on board supporting that this year through Georgia Power and through GEDA. We'll be hosting it this year. We host it on campus in Atlanta. This year it will be August 26th through 29th. You can go to gt-bedc.org, or if you go to our website, cedar.gotech.edu, you can link to it there. A lot about placemaking in there, and really quality course, and it will set you up for the IEDC. Next slide. Want to touch really quickly. Some of you may have seen a little bit of this. We have developed a model. We call it the Future Impact Simulation Model, and this is really related to housing, developed primarily to address some of the need that's in coastal Georgia due to the Hyundai location, but can be sort of used as a regional planning tool otherwise. And basically, these are two of the output pages. But what we can do is sort of, if you have a grad site or a major site, we can drop in a number of jobs. We can drop in a number of jobs by region, take into account the commuting patterns, all sorts of other data, and sort of spit out how many out of all those locations are going to go to a specific community. So really helping those communities plan. There's some housing affordability pieces to that, both in terms of home ownership and rental. This is part of a grant from EDA, and we have some plans in the works to hopefully roll this out statewide, so that it's a really digestible way to get all this big data out to local officials so that they can make some critical planning decisions, particularly when there's, very, very rapid growth and high demand. So next slide, Tracy. And then finally, much like some of our other compatriots, that there are charges for our programs. That's all sort of dependent on what you need and how long it's going to take us to do that. But we do have a resource, particularly for rural and underserved communities, called the Economic Development Research Program. That's funded by the EDA University Center here at Georgia Tech. And again, it works to help sort of offset the cost for communities that may have difficulty procuring professional services. And it can go towards any of the items that we work on in any of the areas that we work. And those applications are accepted on a rolling basis. If you've applied for a grant, it's nothing like that. It's a quick Google form. We sort of grade those and move forward. Lately, we've been doing a lot of housing work. So we've used it on a couple of housing studies and are about to kick off another one, but certainly not limited to that. You can do, economic and fiscal impact, strategic planning, whatever the community needs, but it's sort of an offset for the cost. And you can actually, the program manager for that is my teammate, Candace Mackey. Her email is on here, but again, if you go to our website, it can link you to EDRP. That's all I got.
Thank you, Betsy. That was a ton. And I especially loved the simulator. I mean, that's like hot off the press, right? That you guys have studied this for the coastal area near the Hyundai?
Yes, they don't even have their reports yet. So that one you saw is a sample county. They don't have their reports yet, but it's brand new. Yes, brand new.
Okay, very good. All right, so let's see. I think we're at the end of the presenters. Yes, so thank you to all the panelists today for, rapid fire, just squeezing it all in and getting all of this in front of us. And my follow-up is simply to say, I've got the names and the program and the contact information here for you. You'll get these slides. So I'd like to just take any Q&A that have evolved while we've been in the program that I haven't seen. Kelly, do we have anything?
Yes, there are a few in the chat. I think this one goes back to Caitlin. Is there a cost for branding, and how do we get assistance?
Yes, there is a cost. It depends on the scope, though, depending on the scale of branding you need, whether it be downtown or a county-wide or a region. You can imagine there's a lot more involved the bigger you get. So just reach out to me. We can talk about that. We are booked out for a couple years, but we can still talk about that. It ranges from anywhere from 50 to 75 right now. And we can spread that over a couple fiscal years if we need to.
Caitlin, also, if you are a prior RSVP alum, can you get branding design assistance?
Yeah, just reach out to Clark or me or Danny, and let's just start with a conversation and see what you need.
Okay. And Tracy, how are you going to share this recording? Will it be on the YouTube channel?
Yeah, the YouTube channel, of course, is already up and live, and it takes our comms team a few days to load it there. But I will give you all a pointer for that YouTube channel again in a couple of days and send this slide deck along with it.
Okay. Another question, across programs, is there a good example of a city that reworked their zoning code to encourage traditional downtown development? Someone want to take a stab?
Zoning question. Anybody want to take that?
I will say I don't know of a local government, but I'm sure it's happened. I'm sure that our local governments in our state have made those tweaks. I will take this as a personal research project for myself and get back to you on that one. Who was the question asker?
Hayes Taylor.
Hayes Taylor. Thank you.
And I will say within what I've heard of from within GIC communities are that Young Harris made some great zoning changes recently to allow different types of housing, and Canton did a change on an ordinance to allow accessory dwelling units. So a lot of specific to housing zoning changes that are happening.
Cornelia, Jesse says they're doing it as we speak in Cornelia.
Of course you are, Jesse.
And that's a Plan First community in Cornelia. Go, Jesse.
Okay, I've got one question, if I can jump in there, Kelly. Thinking about this content today and how it was just a brief overview and there were 12 programs and 12 presenters and we crammed it into an hour and a half. Would you like to explore this panel or this topic in general as either a chart that just lists them all and puts the criteria beside it, or a full session at something like a GMA annual conference? And surveying that, just yes or no in the chat box will be a good measure for me.
Tracy, I did want to share with you that Scott and I will be doing similar presentation, a longer presentation on both Create and Grow Georgia at this summer's GMA annual conference.
Perfect. There we go. As long as we can get the word out and get everybody in front of it. Along those lines, what other programs should I include in the community development spectrum that you guys know of and we didn't have here today? Just want to be inclusive and not overlook somebody, because it's certainly an oversight if I have. Communities online, what else do you need to move forward? Right, you heard some basics today. Is it a deeper dialogue now where you reach out with these leaders?
Greetings. I'm not sure. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Greetings. It's Mayor Teresa Smith from the city of Palmetto. I was the one that posted if this would be available. I have quite a few people. We're in the middle of literally everything that you've offered we need. It's a matter now of tapping into the right people to put them with the right organizations. So do you have anything that will provide us with guidelines on how to identify the people that would be the right people? Again, we're building from scratch almost. So how do we identify those people that would be the best fit for each program? Because it's so much, and I'm grateful for all of it, and we need all of it, but how do we parse that around so that we're getting the right people in the right places? Thank you.
Any of my colleagues want to take that? I mean, certainly today, this pilot is a start, right? Putting all the information in front of you, letting you see the choices, see, hear when they're of assistance, if they're working with an ongoing community or a brand new community. And some of that information has been revealed today. I'm considering trying to make a chart out of all of it, just to sort of have it as a cross-reference. Any other ideas about how to continue to guide?
I appreciate that. I am a very visual person, so a chart would be very helpful for me, just to kind of, again, and I don't want to make it hard for anybody, but when I think of a chart, if how sometimes you see a chart and it has the little dots next to it to say these offer this, and you can kind of look across it. So that would be very helpful if it's created. Again, not trying to create any additional work for anyone.
Like a campground where it has a playground, it has a swimming pool, it has. Yeah, okay. All right. Looking in the chat here. Does the team of Avengers travel to communities? K1, do you want to host them?
Tracy, if I may say just a word of encouragement to you all, we're trying to make sure that all the contacts for DCA's database is updated regularly. So that's step one, is make sure that so a lot of times if there's a newly elected official or if you have staff turnover, we know that's happening a lot. Please update your contacts database within our database, and I'm going to drop that information in the chat. So that's step one of knowing about the information when it comes out.
Okay. I'm seeing that programs people would like to have covered are GIC, the Georgia Initiative for Community Housing. We can certainly do that. What else do we have? Maybe Small Business Development Center at UGA and USDA RD, which I think means rural development. Do I have that right?
You do, that's correct.
Okay. So other partners to put on this chart. I'd like more content on the upcoming Dublin, Georgia training as it pertains to zoning basics. Daniel?
Yes, Ms. Bernice, I just dropped you a reply in the chat on our website for CPI. And that's, again, when we make those announcements on that CPI website, we also send out an email to all chief elected official, city manager, city administrator, planning directors, and we send that email blast out.
Thank you. And I see Vanessa's given us a way to find the regional economic development manager at Georgia Power across the state and the regions. Okay, and then lastly, I want to close it out because we have 2 minutes. Great job today. Thank you everyone for getting all the information in, bringing your questions. What other quick training like this online would you like to see us do here at DCA? And it can be across the spectrum of the 80 some odd programs that we offer. We're always wanting to bring you content that you need. If you have any closing thoughts on that, put those in the chat. And otherwise, I will sign us off and thank you all tremendously one last time for bringing all of this together and bringing the state together. And I think somebody see at one point the high count of participation. I know we reached 105 at one point.
I wrote down 117 at the height.
Excellent.
I counted I saw 121.
Excellent, even better. I'm going to go with the highest number.
Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next time.